I shall exert myself to the utmost to respond in kind to the second poem of the holy monk, with a regulated verse of my own. How about that? She thus chanted loudly. My fame was made lasting by Han Wu King. To me his pupils did Confucius bring. Dong Xian's affection would my growth foment. Sun Chu once loved my feast of cold food scent. How tender and coy is this rain-moistened bloom! What fresh verdant hues half veiled in misty gloom! Ripeness makes me a little tart, I know. Banished each year to wheat fields, that's my woe. When those four men heard this poem, they all congratulated her, saying, "It's most elegant and sublime. And the lines are so full of vernal longings. Such a marvelous line, how tender and coy is this rain-moistened bloom." Smiling in a coquettish manner, the girl said, "I'm in fear and trepidation." The composition of the holy monk, just now, was something that could be said to have come from a mind of silk and a mouth of brocade. Let me say to him, if you can be persuaded to show us your talent, how about granting me another of your poems? The Tang monk, however, dared not reply. As the girl gradually became amorous, she began to sidle closer to where he was seated. "What's the matter with you, charming guest?" she asked softly. "If you don't have some fun on such a beautiful night, what else are you waiting for? The span of a lifetime, how long could that be? If the apricot immortal," said Squire 8 and 10, "entertained such genial feelings, how could the holy monk not reciprocate by giving his consent? If he withholds his favors, then he doesn't know how lucky he is." "But the holy monk," said Squire Lonesome Rectitude, "is a gentleman of fame and accomplishment in the way, who certainly will not indulge in anything improper. If we insist on such activities, it is we who are guilty of impropriety. We would be soiling a man's fame and spoiling his virtue. That's hardly the proper thing to do. If Apricot Immortal is indeed so inclined, let Cloud-brushing Dean and Squire 8 and 10 serve as go-betweens. Master Void Surmounting and I can be the witnesses. They can then seal this marital contract. Wouldn't that be nice?" On hearing this, Tripitaka turned red in anger. Leaping up all at once, he shouted, "You are all fiendish creatures! How you've tried to tempt me! At first, I allowed your platitudes to goad me into discussing the mysteries of Tao, and that was still all right. But how could you use this beauty trap now to try to seduce me? What have you to say to this?" When the four elders saw how enraged Tripitaka had become, they became so startled that every one of them bit his fingers and fell completely silent. The scarlet-botted demon attendant, however, grew very angry and bellowed, "Monk, you can't even tell when someone's trying to do you a favor. Is there anything bad about this dear sis of mine? Look at her refinement and talents, her lovely jade-like features. Let's not talk about her skills in the feminine arts. Just a single poem of hers has already demonstrated that she is a worthy match for you. Why do you so brusquely refuse her? You'd better not let this opportunity slip by. What Squire Lonesome Rectitude says is most appropriate. If you refuse to do anything improper, let me serve as your marriage official." Tripitaka turned pale with fright, but he refused to give his assent no matter how urgently they pleaded with him. "You foolish priest," said the demon attendant again. "We speak to you in a kindly manner, and you refuse us. If you arouse our wild and unruly passions and make us abduct you to another region, where you neither can pursue your priestly life nor take a wife, won't you have lived in vain?" With a mind like metal or stone, that elder adamantly refused to comply. He thought to himself, "I wonder where my disciples are looking for me." So speaking to himself, he could not restrain the tears from rolling down his cheeks. Trying to placate him with a smile, the girl sat down close to him and took out from her sleeve a honey-scented handkerchief to wipe away his tears. "Charming guest," she said, "don't be so upset. Let's you and I nestle in jade and perfume and have some fun." Uttering a loud cry, the elder bounded up and tried to dash out of the door, only to be grabbed by all those people. They brawled and struggled like that until dawn. Suddenly another cry could be heard. "Master, Master, where are you speaking?" The great pilgrim's son, you see, together with 8 rules and Sha monk, had been leading the horse and pawing the luggage for a whole night without stopping. Going through brambles and thorns, searching this way and that, they managed to cover the entire 800 miles of the Bramble Ridge halfway between cloud and fog. By morning, they reached the western edge of the ridge, and that was when they came upon the noises made by the Tang monk. They responded with the cry, and the elder somehow managed to struggle out of the door, yelling, "Wukong, I'm here. Come and save me, quick." In a flash, those 4 old men, the demon attendant, the girl, and her maidens all disappeared. Soon 8 rules and Sha monk arrived, saying, "Master, how did you get here?" Tugging at Pilgrim, Tripitaka said, "Oh, disciples. I've been a great burden on you. That old man we saw last night, who claimed to be the local spirit coming to offer us food, was the person who hauled me to this place when with a shout you were about to hit him. He led me inside the door by the hand and introduced me to 3 other old men, all addressing me as the holy monk. Every one of them was quite refined in speech and manner, and they were all able poets. We spent our time in the exchange of verses until about midnight, when a beautiful girl, accompanied by lanterns, also arrived to meet me. She, too, composed a poem and addressed me as the charming guest. Then, because of my looks, she wanted to marry me. I woke up to their scheme all at once and refused. They began to put pressure on me, one wanting to be the go-between, another the marriage official, and still another the witness. I swore I would not comply, arguing with them and desperately trying to struggle free. Out of the blue you people arrived. I suppose partly because it was getting light already, and partly because they seemed to be afraid of you, they all vanished suddenly, though they were still pulling and tugging at me just a moment ago. If you talked and discussed poetry with them," said Pilgrim, "did you not ask them for their names?" "I did ask them for their styles," replied Tripitaka. The first old man called himself Squire 8 and 10, and his style was Naughty Virtue. The second was styled Squire Lonesome Rectitude. The third, Master Void Surmounting. And the fourth, Cloud Brushing Dean. They addressed the girl as Apricot Immortal. "Where are these creatures located?" asked 8 rules. "Where did they go?" Tripitaka said, "I don't know where they went, but the place where we discussed poetry was not far from here." As the 3 disciples looked around with their master, they discovered a cliff nearby, and on the cliff was a plaque bearing the words, "Shrine of Sylvan Immortals." "It was right here," said Tripitaka. When Pilgrim examined the place more carefully, he saw nearby a huge juniper tree, an old cypress tree, an old pine tree, and an old bamboo. Behind the bamboo was a scarlet maple tree. As he looked toward the far side of the cliff, he saw also an old apricot tree, flanked by 2 stalks of winter plum and 2 cassia plants. "Have you people found the fiends?" said Pilgrim with a laugh. "Not yet," replied 8 rules. "Don't you know?" said Pilgrim. "It is these several trees right here that have become spirits, elder brother," said 8 rules. "How do you know that?" "Squire 8 and 10. Replied Pilgrim. "Is the pine. Squire Lonesome Rectitude is the cypress. Master Void Surmounting is the juniper. Cloud Brushing Dean is the bamboo. The Scarlet-Botted Demon is the maple. Apricot Immortal is, of course, the apricot tree, while the maids are the cassia and the winter plum." When 8 rules heard this, he rushed forward without further ado, using his rake along with several shoves of his snout. He brought to the ground those winter plum, cassia, old apricot, and maple. From beneath the roots of these trees, fresh blood indeed spurted out. Tripitaka walked forward to pull at him, saying, "Wunung, don't hurt them. Though they have reached the stage of becoming spirits, they have done me no harm. Let us find our way and leave." "Master, you shouldn't pity them," said Pilgrim. "For I fear that they may become great fiends later, and then they will bring much harm to humans." Our idiot thus decided to work his rake some more and toppled the pine, cypress, juniper, and bamboo as well. Only after that did they help their master to mount up, and all proceeded along the main road to the west once more. We do not know what the future holds for them, and you must listen to the explanation in the next chapter.